Mr. Condit goes to Washington while his unemployed children stay home and call him not Dad, but Gary. Then, what's wrong with this picture? A suburban couple hosts a party for their son's teenage friends, stripper included. Should they serve time? We'll debate it. Then here tonight for a rare one-on-one interview is the man who teamed Redford and Streisand, put Dustin Hoffman in a dress for Tootsie, and helped keep Tom and Nicole's eyes wide shut. Actor, director, and producer, Sidney Pollack. Good evening, I'm Judith Regan, and tonight we'll have all that and more, but first, a news break. This week, a Wall Street investment banker and his wife were busted for allegedly hosting an X-rated high school football bash where students as young as 15 licked whipped cream off a stripper's nude body and watched as she inserted objects into her private parts. When she wasn't taking it all off, according to one of my guests, she was drinking straight vodka with dear old dad, Robert Wien, a Wall Street honcho, who with his wife Rochelle were charged with endangering the welfare of a child and unlawfully dealing with a child. If convicted of this misdemeanor, they could face up to a year in jail. Westchester District Attorney Janine Pirro stated the parents were present and aware of what was going on, not just in terms of the alcohol that was being imbibed by these high schoolers, but the actual sexual acts that were taking place in their backyard. The question is this a legal matter? Should the parents be facing prison terms, or is this a moral matter? Here to discuss it, from Boston, former prosecutor Wendy Murphy, and here in our New York studios, the man who runs Gorgeous Strippers Plus, the company that supplied the stripper to the party, Anthony Agnello. And we'll start with you, Anthony. How did the stripper end up there? Who called you, and how old was the person who called you, and do you check?
Okay. It was a younger kid. It was a younger man, okay? I would say, I have an 18-year-old son. He sounded, my son at 17 sounds the same at 18.
Do you check the age of the person who's
How
calling?
would I?
I don't know. Do you?
How would you? I don't know. You have to,
so they call, and what do they say? I want a stripper.
They say, look, we want a stripper. If they sound like a bunch of juvenile delinquents or, you know.
But it wasn't the parents who called?
No.
Okay.
And if they do, you know, then obviously I wouldn't take them because obviously I'm worried about whether we're going to get paid or not, okay, along with moral issues.
You're concerned with moral issues?
Of course.
Surely you jest. Okay, so the stripper goes there, and what happened?
Okay, she arrived there, and I guess there were a lot of people, a heck of a lot more people than what was described to me.
And there were
a
lot of 15 to 18-year-olds.
Well, you know the funny thing.
Under 18-year-olds.
Well, you know the funny thing again, Judith, is like I said, I have an 18-year-old son. He hangs out with a couple 15-year-old kids that play on the New Milford High School football team in Connecticut. All right, there's a 15-year-old kid who looks 5 years older than my son. Okay.
Okay, fine, but there were 15 to 18-year-olds there.
You know the funny thing, like I said. How do you determine? I mean, nobody. You know, what are you going to go walk around?
Okay,
and
it doesn't matter.
IDs?
They were there. We now know they were there.
Were
What happened? What did the stripper do in their presence and in the presence of girls and boys of that age?
Well, she came in
with the parents present.
Right. She came in, collected her money, and
collected her money. But what did she do?
She came out and did her 1 hour full strip routine, which she takes her clothes off, does whipped cream shots off various parts of her body. She gets tipped while that goes on. This kind of stuff happens.
And she inserts various
does a
toys.
Little, yeah, it's a
in full view.
In full view of
the parents and the children.
Absolutely. This happens in private parties all over this great nation of ours.
All right. Shouldn't it matter that there were underage kids there, under the age of 18?
Should it matter?
Yes.
You know how I look at things? I look at it.
You run a business.
Yes, but you know something? The 15-year-olds that were there
looked older.
Looked older, okay. Unbeknownst to the adult entertainer that was there. But the fact of the matter is, these 15-year-olds are the same 15-year-olds who 3 years from now, when they hit 18, will be the very first ones to be going out to the juice bars to see the old nude girls if they're not
because
homosexual.
They're being set up to do that now.
Because
we're not saying that's...
They've got those hormones running through them anyway.
Okay, we're going to get to Wendy now. Wendy, talk to me about the legal situation here.
Boy, you know, it's interesting. Anthony said he cares deeply about the moral issues and it's a business matter and so on, and he can't figure out the age. Boy, he better be caring about the legal issues. I didn't hear him say that at all. There's no question about it. If you're under the age of 18, you cannot and should not be engaged in any form of this business. And if there's some accidental way in which kids end up present, it is absolutely Anthony's and the parents' responsibility in this case to make sure that those kids aren't there. And to suggest that somehow it's not doable because some 15-year-olds look like 18-year-olds, that is about the most weak and bogus defense in this case, and it won't go anywhere. That's
Talk to
not
me
the
about
responsibility.
the actual law that they broke.
Well, contributing to the
Allegedly.
delinquency of a minor or participating in illegal acts with a minor simply is a way to pass a law that says to adults who have to be responsible for the well-being of children, look, there are laws out there that based on age alone, something that might be okay for an adult is illegal with regard to a child, whether it's pornography or drinking alcohol. And these are laws that are across the board around the country, forbidden for children to engage in these kinds of acts. So we require adults to be responsible and to protect children from these types of acts and activities, and that's why we can criminally punish parents and potentially people like Anthony who don't live up to that responsibility and make sure that children aren't vulnerable.
All right, what about the stripper? Should she be held accountable? She was one of the adults present.
You know, possibly. I'm not 100% sure exactly what she knew and what her role was, but I do think ultimately it's more Anthony's fault than hers. I mean, she is his employee, and I suspect that whatever their relationship is, he agrees by contract to protect her from any kind of liability. And, you know, if the point is, though, that she arrived there and she knew or reasonably should have known that there were children underage there who were going to be watching her doing these things with her body parts, then I think it was incumbent upon her, at least morally, to get up and walk out or to call Anthony and say, you know what, something's not right here. These are kids from a high school. These are little kids, barely past puberty. I'm not doing it.
All right, Wendy,
she should have done that.
What does this say about the culture in terms of the moral obligation of the parents and they're feeling that this is just great entertainment and we're all having a good time and we're launching the football season with the stripper doing all these crazy things in front of our kids? What kind of a message does that send? And Anthony here says, well, hey, in a couple of years they're going to be calling call girls.
Well, no, I didn't say that.
We're setting them up here. Anthony.
I didn't say
Don't you
they're
want
gonna
your
be
18-year-old son to have a loving, caring relationship with a woman? Does that matter to you?
Of course.
Do you have one?
I have a very nice young lady girlfriend of mine, yes.
And do you love her?
Absolutely.
All right. Don't you think that delicate minds, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, should not be exposed to this, particularly in the presence of their parents? Don't you think it sends a terrible message to them that we're teaching them something terrible about the value of love, the value of caring, the value of sex?
This is classic objectification of women, no matter how you feel about pornography, to party in the presence of a woman who's being mistreated like this. Whether she agrees to be mistreated or not is another question.
All right. If the stripper had called you and said there are 15-year-olds here, I'm leaving, what would you have said to her?
That's cool.
That's cool?
I have no problem with that. If she had thought there were underage people there, she figured because the parents were there that there was that this was all legit and everybody was of age there.
All right. We are out of time. Anthony Agnello, Wendy Murphy, thank you so much for being here. We'll be right back.